Hello and welcome to the 3RPG Podcast, a podcast where we talk about RPG games and other stuff. My name's Jay Underwood.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Sandra Rosner.
All I have to do is be I just gotta be a chapter ahead of them in the textbook. That's all.
I mean, that's the key, right? You're always just the one lesson ahead.
Yeah, there'd be one lesson ahead. Well, same thing with being a GM in a game system. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You can't prepare too many episodes ahead because you don't know what your players are going to do. They're going to muck it all up by the time the first 15 minutes of your session rolls around. Oh, okay, there goes all those ideas.
That's my
I
goal.
hear ya.
You know that's my goal, right? Like to throw those curveballs that surprise you and any other GM I play with. I love that moment. I love it. It's like, ha, gotcha.
That's your goal. That's the goal.
Well, at least one. Okay, I'm not the only one who has this goal either. I'm gonna rat them out, but the goal is to at least completely throw you once every campaign, like completely, like you didn't see it coming.
Once every campaign, that's okay. Well, not once every session.
Well,
Okay.
but your notes never survive the whole session. You've said
No,
that.
they never survived. They never survived. I'm fine with that because once it becomes a lived-in thing, it changes over that. But the goal is to do that. Your goal should be to like make a lived-in, fleshed-out character that feels believable in the world.
Yeah,
That's
come
the
on.
goal. That's
He wants to keep you on their toes.
No. We
Oh,
want
but
you to enjoy the same experience you give us.
So that's already
That's
been
the goal.
achieved. No. Don't do that. Anyway,
No.
I'll achieve it anyway. Don't worry. Based on your actions and based on die rolls, I always have to be on the edge of my seat and be quick and come up with something.
Keep on doing that,
it's not
Sandra.
changing.
Keep it up.
Anyhow, well, without further ado, adieu. Goodbye. Everyone.
Adieu.
See you later.
Adieu.
That's the episode. See you later.
I think we're doing this wrong.
Adieu. No, we're doing exactly. Aloha. Well, today's topic is one of our hosts.
You've summoned me.
We have summoned you. Yeah, exactly. You say your name
Sandra.
three times. Yeah. You appear in the mirror you have to turn the candles on and the lights off, and
You
have some
fools.
bloody Sandra, bloody Sandra, bloody Sandra 3 times the mirror. Whatever.
No, not what you have done.
Is an interview with our one Sandra Rosner, so that our listeners can know, well, who are these people that we're listening to? These disembodied voices that they only see in caricature format in the logo and what have you. Me and Chris have prepared a series of questions from the benign to the intriguing, I hope, that we're going to throw at you backwards and forwards. But before we do that, why don't you? Well, I guess this will be my first question: is give us the from there till now story, and you could choose that their point, and up to and to what you encompass. Give us the Cliff Notes version of who it is that our listeners listen to when they tune in from week to week.
All right. Well, big question I usually get asked is why writing? How did I wind up here? And I'm that kid who was reading Stephen King in 4th grade. Got really hooked on horror, fantasy. Those were like my best friends, and I'd spend the whole summer just digesting these incredible stories. So of course
as a role model, you were also following his practices and doing a lot of coke at the time.
Well, not so much in New Jersey, but we got along. No listeners, I have never done coke. That's a freebie.
Coca-Cola.
She does it all the time.
Coca-Cola. She does it all in front of us. No.
You can't see it right now, but there's a lot of white right under her nose.
A little bit. Oh no, just a little bit. For later.
Wait, is this an interview or a roast? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little both of us with this bit of a series, and I welcome it. So was the little book nerd, decided, hey, I could try my hand on this, and of course wrote terrible, shitty first drafts for a long time, figured it out, and honestly really, really got the spark in high school. And I'm bringing this up specifically because that's when I met Jay. That's when I got into TTRPG with a group of friends from high school. it's probably some of my fondest memories of growing up, is playing these fantasy worlds with my best friends, and it just never left me. So it's been such a wild ride to kind of reconnect, come back to this space, reinvest a lot of that energy and knowledge and everything back into TTRPGs. I never really stopped playing, never really stopped working in that space, but definitely took a veer towards MMORPGs in that interim. That's where I came into the Dragonflight Codex project,
Yep.
RuneScape. Huge gamer. I'm not big on first person. Like, I love playing with other people. Obviously in tabletop, obviously in online. I love the social experience. I love the camaraderie. I'm a raid leader in WoW since vanilla. I just love bringing people together, common goal, get the job done, and have an amazing bunch of laughs along the way. So everything I do, if you meet me at a convention, if you see me doing a panel, I'm going to have that same vibe too. What you hear here is exactly who I am. So that's the Sparks Notes version of how we got from there to here. Just a huge nerd for literature, gaming, and friends.
I just hear Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds calling out, nerd!
Nerd!
Holding a trophy above his head. For point of clarity, the two books that you mentioned were your recent publications from last year, correct?
Correct. Actually, the Dragonflight Codex came out literally just after Christmas last year, and RuneScape launched this year in April.
So I'm guessing though, like you started as a writer before the which came first, like the chicken scratcher or like the dice egg roller? Like, was it the RPGs that the games with Jay that made you want to write more, or was it the writing that got you into RPGs, or were they not at all connected?
Okay, I was definitely writing first. And the irony is that I kind of dusted off that concept that I was noodling back in late middle school, early high school. And I'm actually going to try to make a run of that idea all over again now, now that I've learned so much more. But yeah, so definitely writer first. The TTRPG was just such an expansive kind of experience to like collaborate. Like, I'd never been able to collaborate. A lot of authors will talk about the solitary nature of the work, and I strongly encourage other writers out there, collaborate, even if it's a critique group. If it's just find a space where you can be creative with other people, and it will make your ability just go leaps and bounds farther than you expect. And I feel like that's what really happened in high school with our TTRPG games. It was just, oh, I'm not constrained by my own few ideas that I had at that age. We could do this, we could do this, we could try this, and it just grew from there. So I would definitely say that while writing was first, playing tabletop just exploded the potential outwards.
Great things happen when creative people have fun together.
Yes.
And in a sense, one might say, in a manner of speaking, that reading any good book is, maybe not so much a collaboration per se, but connecting with those ideas of somebody else that's written them down will then further help to advance and develop your own ideas for exposing yourself to them. It's sort of why, like, Alan Moore tends to argue, says, like, read like some of the worst literature that's out there, like read terrible books.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only do you find out that they sort of, you learn out what not to do, but there's full of a lot of ideas out there that you may have never thought about before, and that'll help develop your own.
I think I've stopped reading 2 books in my life. Ever.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was just, I just couldn't connect. I couldn't focus. It's not even necessarily the quality of the literature, but there were just 2 books in my life I couldn't finish, and I will never say what they are, because I would never want to like speak poorly of somebody else's art. It didn't work for me, but I will get through things that I don't particularly like, don't resonate with, don't, because there's always something, so much to learn from it. I'm always thankful at the end that I stuck with it. There's something there. There's always something there. Somebody did not spend 6 months, a year 10 years of their life writing a book for no reason. And you'll find it.
You're Larry David. You stick with somebody. You're friends with them till the end, till they're
Yeah.
dead.
This is also true.
Even if I don't
fault.
like them, even if I hate this person, I'm still going to stay. I see things through.
I mean, I'm uber honest, and sometimes that will drive people away, and I figure that's their choice. But yeah.
So then, as a reader, what genres do you find yourself gravitating towards or away from?
I mean, the given. Fantasy and horror were always real bedrocks for me.
Any particular sort of like subgenres of fantasy? So like steampunk, sword.
Definitely high fantasy. I really always wanted to be transported to a completely other world than where we are. Horror, on the flip side, is a strange thing because I really enjoy the psychology of why people do what they do, and I feel like horror, a good horror, really encapsulates some of these like darker elements of humanity that you hopefully don't normally encounter. So you get to explore those kind of at a safe distance. I'd like to say that I would get into more subgenres. Obviously, steampunk, urban fantasy have definitely read pretty widely, especially of a number of friends who write in those spheres. So I pick up my friends' books and things like that. But I make it a point to basically read in threes. One's a research project. One is exactly what I want to be reading. And one is something that's completely out of my normal comfort zone. So in this way, I'm always getting the deliciousness of something that I'm thirsting, something off my reading list, right? I get there. I know every third book that's it. Research, it's so easy to fall down the rabbit hole of over researching the novel you're on. So I limit it by one because otherwise I could just read nothing but research stuff. And that's especially true when you look at my Kindle list and you see so many historic books. Love that. And I'll just go on forever researching something. But the important one here is the read outside your normal genres. Pick up a mystery, pick up a YA. Like, it doesn't even have to be necessarily something that's a completely different genre, but read outside even your reading level. For instance, pick up the classics, and just constantly be shifting that. And especially as a writer, the way that you will just see your own writing and your own visualizations just explode outward is it's almost immediate. Within that first year of doing that 3 cycle, you'll notice the difference.
What's on your physical/digital end table now then?
It is one of I think it's a follow-up to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'll come back to that one. I can probably find it on my Kindle. I'm terrible with remembering names of things. So everybody tells me, "What are you reading right now?" And I'm like, "It's something from Stephen King, and it's about this." But the title eludes me. It's that's a fun little quirk of me. But yeah.
Do you reread books?
Never.
Never.
The only time I ever reread a book, I was so poor. We were like so close to getting evicted. It was like our first apartment, and I had no money for books, so I had to reread my Dragonlance novels that I brought with me. Those are the only books I ever reread because I literally couldn't afford to buy a book, and I hadn't gotten a library card yet. We had just moved to a new state, so. But yeah, no, the books stay in my brain forever. And to reread them, I kind of get bored. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. I want new stuff. I want a new adventure.
I find good dialogue is very difficult to write. And when you write it the first time, I'm thinking, yeah, this will blow their socks off. But then you read it the next day or a week later, and it sounds all janky and unnatural. Do you have any writing tips for dialogue? Do you know how do you know when it's done, or what is your process for that sort of thing?
Oh, this should be the easiest answer to give, but I think it's actually going to be kind of hard. When I do developmental editing, the group that definitely relies on me for this repeatedly, they do it because I specialize in dialogue and pacing. And that's another fun detail for anybody who's listening to this episode because they're a writer. If you're going to interview a developmental editor, ask them what they excel at, because none of us can do everything. We have our specialties. We have the way our brains work. And for me, it is dialogue and pacing. And I will pick up every mistake you've ever made. I will see them. But I'm going to recommend a developmental editor for other things that I'm a little blind to. So for dialogue, my best tip would honestly be to think about it in real time. Most of the time when I pick up bad dialogue from a sample I'm reading, it's because they're forcing a plot point that should be expressed in some other way. They're relying heavily on that dialogue to carry something that maybe shouldn't even be a scene or shouldn't be exposed through the dialogue itself. You should be having more action, something else going on to explore what you're trying to do in that scene. So don't rely on dialogue to carry your plot always, because it's going to sometimes feel really forced. Now, if the dialogue is in fact the point of the scene, and it's starting to fall down, usually to me it's because you're not following the cadence of a natural conversation. We can hear people talking and know it's fake. You can tell when something sounds forced in a conversation you're having with another person. So when you lose that natural cadence of a conversation, you're going to lose it in the book too. So for me, it would be, honestly, I think the easiest way to overcome that is to use the readback function of a word processor. Microsoft has their own version, Mac has their own version, and individual word processors can also have their own versions of this. But you can have whole sections of your work just read back to you using kind of like an AI voice. I prefer the one with the British accent. It sounds the closest to normal to me. You will catch how unnatural that sounds before you ever send it off to a critique group or a dev editor. And you'll be like, you know what? Because this conversation would be happening faster or slower, or there'd be more emotion missing because I'm not putting those emotional tags in. So 100%, it's because your brain can tell that pacing is so off. It's so unnatural.
Your response seems to allude to, your preference of style and your craft, which then perhaps, and correct me if I'm wrong here, seems to want to capture that even within a fantasy environment, this sense of realism and believability. Unlike, say, I don't know, some of the work by Aaron Sorkin or something like that, where there's sort of a heightened quality of the text and the dialogue moves things forward and things are meant to portray a sort of hyper real version of dialogue that might be in certain scenes of the Coen brothers or something like that.
Well, that is actually a really good, again, dev editor thing to keep in mind for other writers. You should always have this kind of almost session zero moment if you're dealing with anybody who's going to critique your work. Dev editor, critique group, beta reader, anybody. And where you set the stage of what is actually being communicated in this art. Now, we can get into a really bogged down conversation about once the art leaves you and it goes to the reader, it changes, you don't have control over it. But if you know that you're trying to write in a particular style, in a particular art style, you want the realism of I feel like YA is a good example. These need the dialogue, the plot, everything, the style of a YA seems to resonate in a certain way that you don't tend to see so much in adult fiction. It's more real to me when I read it. And that's why I like reading YA, because you get this almost friendship feeling, like you're chatting with a friend when you're listening, because in my mind you know what I'm getting at.
Hear the voices.
Yeah, exactly. So they feel a lot more natural to me than a lot of say adult literature.
Watching college football over the professional Super Bowl.
Yeah, a bit. Exactly. So are you going for that closer, more familiar feel with your reader? Or are you trying to produce a piece of just mind-blowingly beautiful art that is going to skew what would feel like a conversation with your best friend. You know, there are levers to pull in both directions. You can't do everything in every book, right? So establishing what you're actually setting out to give to your reader is a super important thing to level set with anybody who's collaborated with you.
And that's what you try to do with each of your projects.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, everybody's going to have a different idea, and it's going to clash, and it's going to cause hard feelings and things. So, start that off right. Yeah, exactly. You're all French cooks, or you're not. You know.
Well, that leads me nicely. That leads nicely into my next question, which is one before the break. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about the field that you work in, primarily?
That you're going to make oodles of money. I hate to say it, but it's something that comes up a lot at panels. And I love that my fellow authors will be honest. Yes, you can absolutely hit it big. You know, awesome when it happens.
Nothing wrong with young writers aspiring to make a lot of money doing it.
Absolutely. But you got to know first and foremost that it is a business. For all the passion, all the muse, all the hours you spend writing, loving this story you're creating, at the end of the day, it does still have to sell in the marketplace. And that's a crippling realization for a lot of people, that you now have to be a salesperson. You now actually can't just be introverted. You can't just stay in your house and sell millions of books. So that's the sad realism, is you're going to have to transition at one point to being your best salesperson if you want your art to live out in the world. And that may not be fun, and that's a difficult thing to swallow.
Great. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with more questions for Sandra Rosner.
Now, you mentioned that dialogue is something that you know you're quite skilled at. Are there things that you have difficulty writing about?
Oh, do I answer this? Do I expose the dark secrets?
Oh, if you don't want to answer that, I'm
oh
totally
no. I'm being campy. No, again, blindsides, right? You always try to do better each time you hit a stumble point. For me, it's definitely going to be trying to write outside of my own experiences. You know, I'm not always going to write a character that looks just like me and has my own experiences. So, you want to make sure that you're always doing a good job when you're representing potentially somebody else. So for me, it's I'm going to try to tap as many other people that have lived those experiences, to make my dialogue, make my writing, make everything. As for me, realism is the cornerstone to everything. So it's worth the time and effort when I know that my dialogue may sound a little too much like me, to go out and just have cups of coffee with people who sound like the people I want in my characters. So,
well, then to step briefly away, I'm sure we may return to it. That is your primary focus in writing. What would you say is a piece of art, which may include writing, music, or film, that sort of made you think deeply or feel something potentially profound?
Ooh.
oh, this is going to be this is not going to be at all what you probably expected, but
Beetlejuice.
so
Beetlejuice.
remember what I said. There's lessons to be learned from everything you consume. 100%.
I learned when I consume those like wet, bad, raw oysters. I learned a lesson. I'll tell you what.
You did. You absolutely did. You're not going to repeat it though, but you did.
Yeah, flavored.
Exactly. I've written some of those experiences, and I think they're brilliant writing, and I don't ever want to go back to the real thing. So whenever I'm ready to write, this is probably a really strange answer to be giving, so I hope our listeners enjoy this. I need to evoke frisson, which is, some people call it goosebumps, some people call it brain tingles. But most people have some capacity to like kind of invigorate their brain before they start doing a creative endeavor. And I know exactly what does it for me. So those are queued up in tabs on my laptop just before I'm ready to start writing, because from Frisson I can now start writing right away. So it's kind of like a double answer that how do you write when you're not feeling like it? Create Frisson. You will start writing. So I find one of the best sources of Frisson for me is the videos that come out like once a year from League of Legends. Uh, they're just incredible, beautiful cinematic.
Oh.
There's always a new song that's just, and the key to it is that the songs sync up with the visuals. There's something in it, this beautiful, evocative music, this incredible animation syncing up together. Just even think about it right now, it's doing it because I can picture the last time I watched it. So these kind of examples I can watch them again and again. Like where I can't reread a book, I have given so many views to the League of Legends cinematics that I've probably made them so much money. There's so many other versions of this. Certain songs, especially, I can tell a certain progression of female voice. We'll do it. So a bit of a strange answer to give, but those kind of works that are just excellent, like the height of excellence for a composer, a singer, and an animator coming together is, to me, the height of beauty.
As we're speaking, like Arcane season 2 just dropped
Yes!
their final 3 episodes, and that entire show just like after watching it, I'm just like, oh, I want to start playing RPGs right now. I
am dodging spoilers because, as you know, I lost my power during the cyclone, so I did not get to watch it yet. So that is a this weekend thing. I'm so excited.
Power in inverted commas. Anyway, Chris.
All right. Well, do you ever reread any of the things that you write? You said that you don't reread other people's books, but do you ever reread your own?
Yes. You kind of have to.
Like, like editing, of course, but like I'm saying, like years later, though.
Yes. There's a strange. I have a God. This seems like a boast. But anybody who knows me knows this. That I have a kind of freaky good memory. So there's ways that I imagine my writing sounds like in my head. And it's like how do I describe this? I start thinking that my writing is less good over time. Like I start doubting it, and I feel like every author doubts their work. You know, you hope that everything you put out there is better than the last.
Yep.
Going and going. But there are still some sections in my writing that I will just be transformed back to the moment I finished it. Like that, yes, that chapter is done, and it is some of the best work I've put out so far. And I go back to just those moments, just those, because you're gonna hit some serious adversity if the query process is soul crushing. The submission trying to get something in a journal, anything out there just to be consumed is such a difficult road. So you need to take all the inspiration you can, and sometimes it's going right back to the heart of what kept you doing this, and it's those perfect moments where you're like, nailed that right there, that one. And I will go back and read those and just feel really good again, and then write my next chapter. That's due in a week.
I know exactly what you mean, though, because like sometimes with art for myself, I'll find old drawings and I'm like, still dynamite, still dynamite.
Absolutely, yeah. you recenter with why you did this. Like, why have you been doing this all this time? You're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to make new stuff.
Jay?
Okay, so again, I think my questions are going to start veering you away from writerly stuff a little bit, but but again, the answer may encompass your beliefs in writing. My question is, what's a common belief or rule that you completely disagree with?
Oh. And we should take the moment to tell the listeners that just like in panels, you normally don't get the questions ahead of time, and I did not want the questions ahead of time. So definitely, that's an interesting.
Time.
All right. I'm gonna ask for a slight. Is this intentionally mega broad, or do we want to contain it to TTRPG, writing, art? Is there...
You answer the question how you want to answer the question. Yep.
Okay.
It's also extremely broad.
Yeah.
No restraints.
Rule and no restraints.
All right. I'm gonna take this in a strange direction.
Throwing Jay for another curve, right?
I'm gonna challenge the way that we've been dealing with emotional expressions in society, in any of our media. There's a lot of pretty generic ways that we say guys do this, and if they cry, then they finally tap their emotion. And if women are crying, well, they're kind of hysterical. Like, so we have these sort of bedrocks of, and I'm gonna call a spade and say that they can be pretty lazy writing, lazy art. When we lean back on what's been, to be comfortable versus looking forward to what can be. You see a lot of people trying to push that envelope right now in a lot of shows, a lot of movies, and I'm so excited for it. Where you see like how we're talking about like trauma and things like that. I just finished the series The Bear. Not a lot of people have seen it in my circles, and I'm like, why haven't you seen it? And it's interesting because there's a lot of disagreement, especially by the time you get to right now. They're through season 3. There's going to be season 4 as of the time of this taping, and the end of the season is very divided on who thinks whom is the villain, not even villain, but like who's in the wrong. And I want more of this. I want more where these discussions happen, where they're messy, where they're like you can't tell who's right and wrong. And I guess that's where my answer lies, is I don't want to be consuming any form of media anymore that's just so obvious who the good person is. I want these messy situations because this is life. I want to see life more in everything we're doing, because it at least, because then I feel like we ourselves can be growing more, and we're starting to see it. And I just want to say that I'm so 100% supporting that, but there's so much pushback by taking chances on this art. And I want to see the gatekeepers take more chances on art like this, because I really feel like that's the next stage for where everything's going to go. That doesn't just feel like the conversations about everybody's over comic book movies. Well, I think it lies in the sphere of this answer. Like,
So they
push
are.
the envelope. Yeah, push the envelope. I want to see more messy comic book characters too. I want to see everybody more messy and more thought provoking.
Chris, one more before the break.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a very interesting answer. Interesting. All right. Okay, here we go. I know they're all a piece of you, and you love them like your children. But you've got to have a favorite PC that you've played. Who is it?
Oh,
They're all your babies.
Oh.
I know.
Wow.
Great question. I was going to ask that one.
Wow. How do you? Oh my God! I feel like I'm gonna have to like choose the golden child, or oh
Sophie's choice of gamer questions.
yeah, right.
Gosh.
All right. Strangely, I'm like I would think it would be the character that I just completed playing last year. And I loved playing her. She was fun. She was a messy character and like really pushed some things I'd always wanted to try out. But I'd have to say that it was the character I played in the first campaign since reconnecting with Jay. God, this is going back during the pandemic. Her name was Talone, priestess who absolutely didn't believe in religion. You know, sometimes you wind up in a situation you don't want to be in. You make the best you can, even if you don't have faith in the plan. And her whole journey of, trying to save herself, to getting her needs met, to finding the ultimate goal of what happened to somebody important to her. And along the way, just getting caught up in this ginormous event, this world event that was so much larger than her and her allies. It was the most soul searching kind of character to draw from. To like, she could have been so selfish. It would have been easy to just make her a selfish character and so focused on her own needs. But to follow that slow burn into somebody who actually did protect her allies, did protect, the world to some degree. But still was so supremely real to me. I don't think a character is going to top that. That's going to be a really hard one for me. Because everybody when they start out, I'm overgeneralizing it. I'm sure people have really nailed this kind of character right off the hop sometimes. But don't play the hero would be my advice for having this experience. It's like, I knew she was not going to be the hero. I knew she's not going to be a villain either. But, oh God, there was something just so magical about just getting by when you're so used to being the hero character in a fantasy world. It's like, she was never going to be that, and somehow rose to the occasion in a way. Yeah, that's going to be a really hard one to ever top.
Awesome. And let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with Sandra for a rapid fire round at the end.
Ooh,
Oh,
take cover.
All right, and we're back with Sandra Rosner for the kind of rapid fire section. Okay, so
the lightning round.
the lightning,
Duck and cover.
That's right, duck and cover. So the idea is to give as short or pithy as answers as you can, presumably one word or a single sentence to them. Some of them will be very easy because the answers are one word or a phrase, and we're just going to go right through them as quick as possible, and you just say the first thing that comes to mind, i.e. what's it called? When the psychologists do it.
Rorschach test.
Word association. Word association.
Oh,
test,
this is dangerous. This is terrible.
Okay, so here we go. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Marvel or DC?
I gotta go with the underdog DC.
Your iced tea, sweetened or unsweetened?
Unsweetened.
Battle mats or theater of the mind?
Theater of the mind.
Dragons or phoenixes?
Oh. God, can I have both? I love both. They're right behind me on the wall. All right, Phoenix has always been kind of my thing. So I gotta guess. I gotta go with that.
Cats or dogs?
Dog. My husband's allergic.
Pirates or ninjas?
Pirates.
Yeah. Space exploration or deep sea diving?
Oh, they're both kind of scary. Fuck. Space.
Morning or night?
Night. Of course, night.
Books or movies?
Well, say that again.
Books or movies?
Books.
Worst smell.
Worst smell. Oh God. Oh, vomit.
Worst holiday?
Holiday. Fuck. Valentine's Day. I think that's shitty.
Pen or paper? Oh, sorry, pen or paper. Pencil or pen?
Pen. Pilot.
Worst race. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Holy shit!
Okay. This shit just got real. No. Okay.
What would be your ideal project?
I'd have to say probably a high fantasy collaborative situation. It's hard to come by. It's hard to find the right people to mesh with long term. Doing that. There's obviously shared worlds, everything, and they succeed. But for me, I would need to. That like I'm almost picturing it. I can almost like it's something. It's a bucket list kind of thing. But yeah, assembling just the right team to make a creative high fantasy series. So that's I don't think I could give you any more details than that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
that's fine. What's an underrated novel series?
Underrated novel.
Like one that people might not be aware of, but they should be aware of. And I know you might not be good with the names, so if you want to look it up, you may.
You know what? I'm gonna go with something that I literally just read. It's gonna tread kind of into the YA realm, but adult readers will love it. It's really well written. I'm only on book 1, and as soon as my triad of books flips around to fun read, I'll be picking up book 2. A really good friend of mine, Donna Donna J.W. Monroe. I believe the first book is Revelations. It's her Poppet series. Just there's like so much. There's like a delicious creepiness that goes through their society of using they're reanimated dead basically as servants. And all of the ethical problems that go with that. Do they retain a soul? Do they not? Do they, should we be doing this? And she really explores those really tough questions so well. So with the caveat of book 1, real eager to get into book 2. I'm gonna say check out her work. And she has a number of great horror short stories. All of them are going to be really thought provoking.
Mm-hmm. All right, these could be kind of in the speedrun area. What is your favorite, like, I guess, classical D&D like character class to play?
You know what? I always fancy myself a caster, but I always wind up as either a rogue or a priest. And I never play a priest right. So let's say rogue is probably the one I go back to and actually play somewhat right.
What about your least favorite class?
Anything that's heavy melee. So barbarian warrior. My mind just doesn't work like that. I like being the tactician, the strategist. I want to have the slow speed so I have time to think about what crazy thing to do in the background. So I'm a terrible meleeer.
Right. I don't know. That might be. Oh, are there any character concepts that you have been turned down or you regret making? Or
So
that you've
far,
always
no.
wanted to play?
Well, strangely, I have a co-player who we tend to challenge each other on what class to play, and we'll always like push weird things. He pushed me to make a bard, which was my previous character. Kind of bard-like, but within the rules of a homebrew. I thought I was gonna hate that character. I really thought I was gonna like the class, everything. I'm like, I can make this work. I could do this. But I was skeptical, and nope, I love bards. I love it. I love them now. They're fun, but I was so worried about that one. So worried.
So I have a strong ending here. I don't know if this is under copyright. I hope it isn't, so then I'll have to just edit it out later. But let me channel my James Lipton here.
Oh, I thought that was
inside the
coming.
actor's studio. What is your favorite word?
Oh, strangely, it's fire.
What is your least favorite word?
You know, I'm really not partial to the word oval. I don't like the look of it. Let's go with that. Actually,
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh my god, I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. Why are you asking this? Struggle, pain,
What turns you off?
characters who had everything handed to them and they didn't do anything with it. So that selfish kind of character or situation, I will never write that.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What sound
Literally.
or noise do you love?
Another strange answer. I find myself humming all day. It just is a natural thing. My dog has picked it up. She like I hum at her and she kind of growls back at me. That would probably be my favorite sound. It's the most soothing sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oscillating fans. Despise it,
Oh.
especially if they're out of balance.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I've already been a jeweler. That was fun. What I do? I would make I'd be like a seamstress, making beautiful costumes. So costumer.
What profession would you not like to attempt?
God, you know, I'm so curious about everything. What would I just kick to this? I don't drive, so I think anything involving driving. So truck drivers right out for me. I respect the hell out of every truck driver who does it, but I would not survive.
And lastly, from the James Lipton, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You can now relax. That would be really nice.
Well, as always, Sandra, thank you very much for all of your time and helping to record this podcast. If you want to say anything else to our listeners, please go ahead. The floor is yours. As they say, your class awaits.
I would say to everybody, no matter what's going on in your life, create, make messy art. I've said this several times in person, at conventions, even on this podcast. Make messy art. It's worth it. It's worth your time. It will save you. It saved me. Never stop creating. And if you ever have the occasion to run into me out in the wild, please come up and talk to me. I'd love to meet you. Truly, come chat with me because I am a social creature and I would love nothing more.